Linda Chu is a well-organized person who helps others reduce stress, simplify their lives, and clear the clutter on their desks, in their apartments, and at the office. Her getting organized system helps get us messy ones out of some chaos. It is my pleasure to welcome Linda Chu to Studio 4 to tell us more.
Thanks, Nancy, for having me.
I'm assuming you're a well-organized person.
For the most part, yes. I think the key is being able to find things when you need it at the critical moment.
But you are the president of Professional Organizers in Canada,
Yes.
so you must have some credentials.
Yes, absolutely.
How did you get into the clear the clutter biz?
Well, my life changed when I left the hotel industry. I was in the hotel industry for 20 years and working in a service industry, as you know, 24/7. It never closes. And when my job was downsized after 9/11, it made me rethink about what it was that I loved about 20 years, and it was around organizing systems.
Were you a natural-born organizer when you were a little girl?
Yes.
See?
I remember like a lot of little cut-out clothes for the dog clothes all sort of piled together in the bottom of my drawer. And so I think it's just the necessity of avoiding that stress and anxiety of having to look for things, and it's that sense of control that we all want. And when you bring that into the workplace, and the only way to do that, certainly when I was in the service industry, when you were downsizing and the whole layer of your organization is gone, same amount of work, less people, how do you do it? You got to look at your systems.
Exactly. So you didn't have to get too organized. You were born a little organized.
Yes.
That's good. I was born a little messy. I'm organized in some things highly, but the things I don't like to do, like clean out the closet, clean out the garage,
For sure.
clean out the drawers. I had a lot of time over Christmas break to do this. No. And in my head, I'm saying, you know, I'm on holidays. Why would I organize my closet? I'm on holidays. You don't organize a closet on holidays.
People always, it seems like such an overwhelming task. So that whole avoidance, the procrastination is always there. And you would much rather hand wash dishes and, you know, do your ironing in some cases than to sort of tackle that pile.
And yet when you do start to tackle, as you know so well, it feels good. But making those decisions, gee.
Well, it's not knowing. It's not knowing where to begin. Half the battle is walking into that room and that feeling at the top of your throat, pit of your stomach, thinking, "Oh my gosh, where do I begin?"
Exactly.
And that's the battle.
I'm overwhelmed. So what do I do? Where do I start? You have the space system or space analogy. First of all, you sort.
Yes. Then the next step is looking at, once you sorting is really about touching absolutely everything, and that's the scary thing. It's taking inventory of what you have. If you don't know what you have, how do you know what the solution is? It's using the analogy of grocery shopping. If you don't look in your refrigerator, if you don't look into your cupboards, how do you know what to buy when you're at the grocery store? So the same thing as buying containers before you're ready is the wrong thing to do. So you sort through what you have, then you look at really that purge. Purging what is no longer of value in your life.
And are there some questions you can ask yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
When you purge? When you're supposed to purge?
Yes.
Especially if you are a collector.
Yes. Well, give yourself permission to have a pile that you're not sure of. So it's really three very obvious things. The yes pile, the obvious no. And then you know what? You're not so sure. Leave that aside, because your first two piles you are aware of. But when you're going through that huge room that you have, basement, you need to ask yourself, when was the last time you used that item? First of all, did you remember you even had it? And once you find it, like if I took that item away and I snuck it in the middle of the night, would you miss it if it was gone?
Well,
If
once
it's
you find it, you never want to let it go again.
Well, Fanny.
I don't know about some people, but you think, oh, I forgot I had this.
Yes. Well, finders doesn't necessarily give you license to keep.
Right.
So again, you have to go
Finders,
back.
keepers, losers, weepers.
But in this case, just because you found it doesn't matter. It's about hopes and intentions.
Sure.
Because you find something and then you realize what your intention for that item was, and there goes the whole battle.
Right. And there are days when your psyche is ready to do this. I don't know what that's about, but there are some days when it's easy to be decisive and think, get all of this out of here now.
And often it's times of change, whether it's changing a job, broken relationships, a merger of a relationship. So sometimes when there's shifts in your life, one reassesses where things are in your life and whether certain items have a place. So when I'm talking about value, it's looking at items in your space and looking at whether it's useful anymore. If it's not, then it needs to be sort of gently passed on.
Exactly. And if you can use a metaphysical principle, if you clean the stuff out of your life, if you adopt less is more, you make room psychologically, you make space in your life for good things to come in.
Well, out with the old, in with the new, as they say, or the analogy of if you do purchase and bring in something new in your life, short of cluttering up the space, you need to make a choice of what's more important, the stuff or your space.
Exactly. So when you're in the purge part, is there a rule as to how much you should purge? Half, a third, doesn't matter?
I don't necessarily work along those rules. It's not about clear and pristine. If you are okay with the space, it's not about living your life on the pages of a magazine. I don't live my life that way. I don't want to necessarily come into a space and everything is all nice and orderly, and then I feel like I'm the clutter. Sometimes you don't know where you belong.
You're afraid to sneeze.
Exactly. You want to just be able to be comfortable, throw off your shoes, prop your feet up if that's the case, or have your guests feel that way. So if your space works for you, don't change it.
Okay.
But if you can't find something and the anxiety attached to that, the search, that's where you need to make a choice.
Exactly. And I always think when you have to renew your passport or you have to get a passport and you can't find your birth certificate, you have not got a clue where your whatever you need is, you know that you're not highly organized. Now you've sorted, you've purged. And the assign part of this, where do you send all this stuff?
The assign side is looking at what you have left over and looking at categorizing all that you have. Get all your ABCs together, your XYZ. So all the mending. You have all your bills that you have to pay. And there might be things that you no longer need, but someone else may. So it's looking at donating items to charitable causes.
Right.
And sometimes the fear of it being in the landfill is going to stop you from letting go. Well, I can't bear it, so I'll just keep it anyhow. What a waste. But my thought is it not wasted if this is a useful item that is not being used to what their intention was?
Of course. And do you find organizations today who will come to your door,
Absolutely.
pick up the computer, pick up the
Absolutely.
old phones, pick up
there's computer
batteries.
recycling services. There are computer literacy programs that are dying for computers so that they can regenerate the computers and donate them to charities for use. There are clothing. Your old eyeglasses are sent away to third world countries for use.
Right.
Men's clothing as well as women's clothing for return to work programs. So there's lots of services available out there.
So if it's a high-end suit, a beautiful suit, a fashion faux pas,
even
something you bought on sale.
Even steel-toe boots for men that are going into the workforce that are not necessarily going into a blue-collar job. They're needing, work clothes.
Anybody want 20 stacks of glossy magazines?
Yes, there are community centers, seniors' homes, even your fitness centers when you're at the exercise bicycle. They're needing to thumb through magazines. So some fitness centers absolutely take them. Absolutely.
Probably not from the year 2000.
No, maybe not.
Probably not, but I'll get rid of them. I'll recycle them.
Yes, absolutely.
So we sort, we purge, we assign.
And then you contain. That's not the first step, going and hunting for the container. It's like putting that Band-Aid thinking the pain will go away.
Right.
So if you don't know what you have, you don't know what the ailment is, how can you fix it? So once you determine what you have, the volume of what you have, and then looking at your access pattern, how often do you need to get at that item, then you're better prepared to make a decision as to what to buy.
Okay.
Taxes, for example, you need to keep for 7 years, but heaven's not on your dining room table.
No.
So how you keep your taxes versus the emergency telephone numbers for your kids' school.
They can be in the garage.
Exactly.
If somebody's going to audit you, they can go to the garage.
Absolutely.
I figure, if they're going to be that rude.
For sure.
What's this? The Freedom, is this for?
Yes, the Freedom Filer is a system for individuals that are constantly with massive piles of paper, just they don't know what to do with. This is a self-purging system, an indexing system that allows you to index everything that comes into your home and your life and looks at it in terms of what is active, what is referenced, and what is archival, and first and foremost, taxes.
Oh,
It's
it makes you
coming
the
up.
queen of filing because
Yes.
I'm the shoebox tax girl.
Yes, and if the shoebox works for you and you have a bookkeeper that comes in, if you're that person...
No, I'm the mad woman when it's tax time who's
We all
got
are.
little bills all over the place and tabs and things. So free yourself from cleaning out your files forever. Mortgage, rental, insurance, auto, investments, loan certificates. And if you just did this every day,
Yes. Part of the battle is not having a home. You know how you have a negative information, oh, this is juicy, I need to keep this. But then you go back and you're like, where? And the moment you set it down, that's your first pile. So if you had a system in place, or a home in this case, that you could place your item into, the decision's
exactly, decisions made, and you can think about it later. And so now we sort, we purge, we assign, we contain, we evaluate.
made. Right. So you're always evaluating first for function before the form. Just because it looks good, bundles of seagrass baskets, all those plasticware containers, you can bring all that shelving in, but yet you're not any more organized. So again, the battle is getting your space to work for you, and as your budget allows, then you can make it look
Same
pretty.
goes true at the office.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter. The principles are the same. At home, at the office, no matter where you are.
Yes.
There are people who are really collectors who don't open their mail for months
absolutely.
at a time.
I had a client once, by the time we opened all their mail, about 6 months worth, he had over $3,000 of uncashed checks.
No, how do
So-
they pay their bills? I guess
Exactly.
online or something.
Well, it was because they were getting disconnection notices on and on and on because they didn't know what the state of their affairs were. So there is
Oh.
a huge effect.
There's somebody worse than I am. I love that. Ending procrastination. This is a self-hypnosis tape.
Yes,
You can plug it in,
Yes.
get better.
It helps looking at your patterns because your procrastination is really a pattern, which is subconscious, and
Yes.
hypnosis is one way to
And
deal with
you
that.
know you have it.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you very
it's
much.
not a
Mandy.
mystery.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
You're very welcome.
Linda Chu, your organization is called now
Out of chaos.
Out of Chaos.